Today we are going to do some marketing for motivated sellers. We're going to be locating people on PropStream, my favorite place to find motivated sellers, get those lists, and run comps via the MLS. It is the absolute best place to go. It's where I get all my lists, and it's where I run my comps. So today we're going to pull some lists of motivated sellers. I am going to be focusing on absentee-owned properties, vacant properties, and landlord specific, so absentee owned. Reason is because there's a lot of landlords out there that probably weren't tired landlords a couple weeks ago. But now that we're in the middle of this pandemic, there's going to be a lot of late rents that come in, if not at all, right? These are going to be people that aren't paying their rent, and the landlords still have to pay their mortgages. So if they're not responsible about getting those delayed as well, they're going to be in a world of trouble. So we're going to be doing some marketing today. We're going to find a list from PropStream, and we're going to be focusing on the absentee-owned properties. We'll also take a look at the vacants, but depending on the size of that list, that's what we're going to do. So let's jump right in. All right. Here we go, guys. So we are in PropStream. I just logged in, and I'm going to zoom into my market right here in the middle of the country. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to do big vicinities. I'm really looking to pull a lot of lists today, and I want to get the vacant, the absentee-owned properties. So in order to get a big section of the map, I'm going to use this little tool up here in the top left-hand corner, and it allows me to draw on the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically go from here to here to here to here and there, and I'm going to click enter. And I just basically drew a big diamond. I went from Lee May to Webster to Richmond Heights and everything south of Highway 64 here, as you can see. Now sometimes this thing will take a little bit to load when you have a ton of properties like I'm at. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands, or there's 89,000 unique properties in this box. So beware, the bigger the box, the more time it may take to load, but just be patient with it and it will load. So already right here, this thing moves on me, if you gotta be real careful with your mouse. So already right here, I can see in my PropStream that I have 4,226 vacant properties in this vicinity. I have a lot of buyers in this vicinity. So essentially, when I'm going to find my motivated seller list, I am wanting to market to the owners of properties where I have the most buyers. And right now, I have the most buyers in this area. So I'm gonna click on my vacants right here. And what it's gonna do is it's gonna then pull up all my unique properties over here on the right side. I want all of these because the database that I use to Skiptrace will actually suppress any data that's already in there. So if I already pulled a list like this, which I have in the past, and it was, let's say 3,000 of these 4,200 were on there, it won't Skiptrace those, which is really, really cool. So I go to batchleads.io to do my skip tracing, and we'll make another video on that as well to show you. And I do my cold texting there too. So it's such a great place. It also does list stacking. But today we're talking about PropStream. So now I have this 4,226 unique properties that are vacant in this little area on the map that I drew, right? Very, very simple, as you can see. Didn't take me much time to find these properties I just drew on the map. So I'm going to click right over here on the unique properties, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to a list. Now I always like to create new lists because I don't really know what's going on half the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say this is 41020, and we're going to call this South City Vacants. V-A-C-A-N-T-S. I can't spell. I think that's how you spell that. Okay, South City Vacants. We're going to save as a new list, okay? And then what we're going to do, so that's my vacants. So that's going to be good data for me to have. I'm going to export that later. Now, if I want to filter that, I can click right up here. What I also want to do is I want to just take a look real quick at the owner occupied and click no. These are going to be the properties that are the absentee owned properties, right? Now, I have over here under my occupancy status as any, and if I put occupied, that's going to then filter out all those vacants that are in there as well. So I don't have any in there like that. I'm just going to keep it as any. It doesn't matter that there's going to be a ton of these properties on the same lists. Reason is again, when I go to Skiptrace them, it's so smart that it won't even charge me a second time. So it doesn't really matter. So now that I have two lists, I have a list of vacants. I need to create this list real quick of my absentee owned. So again, I'm going to click right here and get all of them. As you can see, this is a different number. This is 3318. Add to list. I'm going to create a new list. I'm going to label that the date 4/10/20, and I'm going to call this South City Absentee. And then we're going to click save. So boom, just like that, I was able to pull two lists of motivated sellers with a couple clicks. This is not rocket science. Keep it simple. If you can't afford to cold call or cold text, thousands of people, that's okay. Just pick a neighborhood or a street and pull those records, and you can keep your list smaller that way. Now, to export those lists is very simple. I'm going to click over here on the left side where it says My Properties. And I'm going to go in here, and you can see I have a couple lists over here that I've pulled recently. We actually have a couple different prop streams, believe it or not. So there's not a whole lot in here right now. It's because we use another one as well. But right now I can click on my 4/10/20 South City Absentees, and I can click right up here to select all, and I can export. So now what's going to happen is this is going to create a CSV file that I can export from PropStream, and it will allow me to take that list to my cold calling dialer or my texter after I skip trace it and start marketing. I can also send mail to these people. I don't personally do RVMs, but if you wanted to do that as well, you could. The cool thing is when you export these lists, it also shows you if it's a landline phone or if whenever you skip trace it, it'll show that it's a landline or a mobile, and you can do different things with those as well. Very cool. So next list was the vacants. That had 4226. This one was 3318. I'm going to select that list as well. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to export that too. So between the two, I have 4,226 on one, 3,318 on the other. I don't know if all those are on both lists. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Doesn't matter. I want to get a couple thousand leads today. I want to get them entered into my system. I want to get them skip traced, and I want my team of cold callers and virtual assistants to start outbound texting these tired landlords, these vacant houses, and see if they are interested in a cash offer. So I'm going to leave PropStream and I'm going to head on over to batchleads.io, where I do all of my cold texting and my skip tracing. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this list optimized essentially, and we're going to get it in here and we're going to get it skip traced. So all right, now that I'm in batchleads.io, this site is amazing. We just started using this. We were using another provider that was essentially 3 times as much, and these guys are just awesome. They have everything that you need. So we're going to go in here into our skip trace, and we are going to import a new skip trace. Now the coolest thing about importing your lists into Batch Lead Stacker is that they've taken away all of the editing, and that's been a huge problem in the past with these lists. So I'm literally just going to take my list. I got 2 of them. I'm going to take one. I'm going to just drag it into the screen here, and it's going to start processing that list. Okay. Next, I'm going to map it. So in the past, you had to use a template, or you had to use, Excel or another software to go in and clean these lists up wherever you would buy them. If they'd be from PropStream or even, ListSource, Listability, they'd come and you'd have to do extra work. Well, with Batch Lead Stacker, it's awesome because you don't have to do that. They make it really, really easy. So here's all the fields that came up from that list, and it already matched a bunch of them for me. So it looks like it has the property address, the property city, the property state, the property zip. Okay, it has their first name, their last name, and then it has the mailing address, mailing city, mailing state, mailing zip. That's really all that's needed. So look, it did it all for me. I didn't even have to map anything. I do like to double check whenever I am importing these lists. So this is the first one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click next, and we are going to get this thing ready to Skiptrace. So it looks to me like we have an order here. It's going to be a $507 order. All right, I just did my import and it is running through that right now. It's processing. This typically only takes them a few minutes. So it's really cool. It does it in real time. Just stick around and it will go quick. You can also see the total records. Again, this is a brand new account. It shows my existing matches, and then it shows the amount of money that I actually saved, as well as the hit amount, the hit percentage, and the cost of that campaign. This thing is killer. So with this first list that I added, again, there may be a lot of duplicates on those two lists because it was the same area. So this first list, we're going to see what happens. But with the second list, I would almost guarantee that the existing matches and match savings is going to be very high, which means it's going to save me money when I'm doing my skip tracing because I'm not skip tracing the same people over and over again. This is killer. All right, we are back. Check this out. That was only about 3 minutes that went by, maybe 4 or 5 at the very most, but that was 4,200 leads that came through. I already had 115 matching, so this saved me $13. Now the next one that we do is going to be way different. The total hits was 3,206, meaning that 75% of what I just skip traced brought me back numbers, email addresses, and data, and I totally spent $370. Now, while I had the camera or the video off a second ago, I did add a balance to my texting as well, and it was very simple. Once you have a credit card in there, you can add a balance. Now, the way that this service works, which is different than most, is you pay per text that goes out, and then you have a monthly subscription. However, the monthly subscription is very, very cost effective, and the cost of the texting is extremely low. So what this means is it's actually better to pay for these separately than it is to pay $500, $700, $900 a month to have access to a service with unlimited. Most people are not going to be doing as much texting as those services are going to provide to really even make them feasible. So if you are doing, let's say, 10 to 15,000 records a month or less, this is going to be a way better solution for you, and that's why we just changed and moved over. So I'm super excited to be using this and showing you guys how it works. So first list was added. Now I'm going to add my second list. Again, this was the same area, guys. Now it was just a different thing. So the first one I think was maybe my vacants. And this one here is going to be those absentee owned. So again, I'm going to add my list. I just dragged it over from my desktop. They make adding leads so incredibly simple. I love it. Before I had to take all this data and I had to put it in a spreadsheet and modify it. And it was a huge pain in the butt. So property address, property city, property state, property zip, first name, last name, and then we have our mailing address, mail city, state, and zip. Again, I always double check those. The other information that's in here isn't really relevant to me. I just don't care. I want to get the leads in. I want to text them. If I need that information, I can get it later. So I'm going to click next, and I'm going to take me over to the page where I can pay. All right, I just added that one in here. This first one was $42.26. The second one was $33.18. So I'm curious to see the existing matches, and I'm also curious to see the total hits, because there could be some on this list, the absentees, that are not vacants, and typically not vice versa. Typically a vacant is also an absentee. That kind of makes sense, but a property can be absentee and not vacant. So that's why I did those in this particular order, but it really didn't matter. But let's see what happens. Let's give this a couple minutes. We're going to circle back here once this is done processing. Again, this typically takes 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes to do about 3,000 to 4,000 records. All right, while that is skip tracing, guys, I headed over to the batch leads website, and I'm just looking at the pricing here, right? And the way that they do their pricing, I think, is awesome. So you can start for as little as $95 a month. I believe our package is the gold package, and it brings our skip tracing costs down to 12 cents. But again, if you have packages that are, we want to do the silver one or the bronze one, it's 14 cents or even 15 cents, which again is way cheaper to skip trace through this platform than the other platforms. And even batch skip tracing, their other service, is going to be a little bit more expensive than if you have one of these packages. So you can get your skip tracing down to 12 cents with this service. I absolutely love it. And then the price per text goes anywhere from 3 cents down to basically 1.5 cents, which is awesome. So it's very, very cost effective and affordable. And if you guys want to save 50% on your first month, use code DAVE when you sign up. DAVE, all caps. DAVE. Boom! And just like that, the other one was sent through. So check this out, guys. This is awesome. So I just imported my first list. 4,226 leads. Existing matches 115. It saved me $13 from just 3 little tiny skip traces prior. What's cool is the second one that I ran through. 3,300 leads. Same area as this other list here. 2,303 of those 3,300 were on one of these previous lists. So I didn't skip trace them a second time, basically saving myself $276 of skip tracing that I didn't need to do. If I was on the lowest package for this service, that's almost 3 months free that it just saved me of what I'd be paying monthly to use this service. This is incredible, right? Total hits 2,341, and it doesn't look like my cost is right, $4.56, but I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna have to look into that. Either way, the match savings is where it's at. Maybe it only did charge me $5 because it's the same list. Wow, look at that. That is awesome. Wow. Okay, so now that I have these in here and they are skip traced, right? I can go back over here to my dashboard and I can see the total properties that I have. I can see the vacants. So this will actually flag the vacants as well. I forgot. That is so incredibly awesome that it's going to do that right in there. You can see our opted out and you can see what we've skip traced just in the last couple of days since we've started using this. This is incredible. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over here to our campaigns and we are going to select a campaign and get this new set of lists going. We're going to start cold texting. So we're going to click create a new campaign. And I'm going to name this campaign the same as what I did whenever I pulled my list, 41020. And I'm going to combine these into one, guys, both of these lists. So we're going to call it South City Absentee and Vacant. All right. The market is my market, St. Louis. My time zone is Central. I don't have a webhook, but I do like to have a Podio push. We use Podio, so I'm going to go grab that email real quick. All right, we use Podio for some of our marketing right now, our CRM for our seller leads, but we're moving out of that and we're going over to REI Black Book because that's what we already are using, guys. So this is basically what we are doing. So currently I'm going to be using that though, and then all users are going to be able to access this campaign. So I'm going to click next. Do you want to upload contacts now? Well, yes, of course I want to upload contacts. Oh, actually, I got to go back to skip tracing and push this to a campaign. So I want to go create my campaign, and then I want to go back to skip tracing, and I want to click on these two over here. So I'm going to start with the first one I did, which was the 4,226, and I'm going to click Actions, Push to Campaign. I'm going to select my existing, which I just created, 41020, South City Absentee and Vacant. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to click Save Changes. Now this is going to push all those leads that I just got out of PropStream and skip traced and batch lead stacker over to my texting platform. upload in progress. So it is adding these, and you'll see here that it's going to start adding this, and it's going to fill in real time some of the KPIs on what's actually being uploaded. So the prospects, the mobile numbers, the landlines. And just like that, these are all imported. There was 2,133 different prospects, 3,300 mobiles. So if you did want to do RVMs, you could download those and you could hit those with the RVMs. We are going to text them. We believe in texting versus RVMing. It's a little bit more ethical in my opinion. Landlines, great for cold calling. Now you can cold call both mobile and landlines. However, we typically cold call landlines first before we do the mobiles. I prefer to text as my main type of communication, and a lot of our sellers do too. So texting works great. It's actually one of my favorite ways to go about getting motivated seller leads. Also, you'll notice that there's litigators and do not calls. So we imported our own do not call list in there. You don't have to. You can build this as you start texting. But the litigators are going to be in their database, and they're going to pull those. So that is really, really awesome. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Skiptrace, and we want to get that other list in there. So we just did the 4226, the first one. Let's do the second one now. So we're going to push this to campaign, and we're going to find that exact same campaign. So 41020, absentees in South City, save changes, and we are going to get this one imported into that list as well. Okay, guys, we went over to PropStream. We downloaded some motivated sellers and got a big list, several thousand people, vacant houses, absentee owned houses, landlords that we are going to be anticipating becoming tired landlords. People aren't going to be getting their rent. They're going to want to sell their properties. They're going to get motivated, right? So we went and got those from PropStream, we exported them out, and now we put them into Batch Lead Stacker or batchleads.io. Once they're in there, you can see I got two lists that I just imported. And one, it looks like it didn't have anything extra to import. It all came in on the first list. So it looks like we have a total of 2,133 individual prospects with a combined 3,500 and 3,300. That's about 7,000 phone numbers that we now have in our system. I can start texting these individuals literally by clicking a template and clicking send. And what it does is you can see over here that it is using a template, and it's mail merging in the name as well as the property address. So I'm going to send some like this, and then I'm going to go to my other template, which is going to change a little bit, and I'm going to send some like this, and I'm going to go to my other template, and I'm going to send some like this. In order to get the highest amount of delivery, you don't want to send too many from the same template, so build out a bunch of templates, as well as make sure you have at least 10, if not 20 phone numbers. I think we might have as many as 40 because it uses different numbers. The system's smart, and it rolls it all in. So just like that, you can find us a list of motivated sellers. You can download it, you can Skiptrace it, and you can start cold texting these individuals trying to find motivation. People that are looking to sell their property. Get it going. You guys can do this. Use code DAVE, that's DAVE, all caps, to save 50% on the monthly fees to join, so you can test it out. And depending on your package, you can get different rates for your texting and your skip tracing. Get it going, guys. Motivated sellers are the name of the game. We are going to see a flood of motivated sellers with this pandemic. Now is the time to start reaching out, build relationships with these people, and get those leads. Get them under contract so we can wholesale them. Let's get it.